Hey, and welcome back to the celebration. This is the grand finale workshop as part of the Profitable Podcasting Intensive. Now, if this is the first time that you are joining us, you are missing out. So let me just add this link. You can get access to all of the recordings, workshop 1, workshop 2, workshop 3. We also had 2 Q&A sessions. Each of those were really sharing insights around how to build your business online with a solid podcasting strategy, especially if you are a service-based business. Hey, Kayleen, welcome, welcome. I know that you certainly have been here each and every day, and you're up to pen number 3 with all the notes that you've taken, which is fantastic. So take that link down, podcastingwithpurpose.com/intensive, and you can catch up on all of the replays. They are there waiting for you. Let me just take that off and we will dive into today's workshop. And we are announcing the scholarship winner. How are you, Maria? Great to see you here. There's someone else from LinkedIn as well that said good morning to you. But for some reason, LinkedIn is not allowing me to see your name. I'm certainly going to circle back and see who that was. So let's dive in. We have had an incredible week. We started last week, Monday, and of course, we're now Monday here in Australia. I know for those of you who are watching from the US, it's your Sunday evening and Sunday afternoon. So today, we really are celebrating the week that has gone by. Kayleen has said here, the workshops have been so worth the time, very generous teaching. Thank you. You are very welcome. And just for those of you who don't know me, let me just briefly introduce myself. My name is Anne-Marie Cross. I'm known as a podcasting queen, but my background has very much been in brand and communications, helping businesses go from invisible to influential. And of course, now I'm also bringing in what I've learned over the last 12 years of podcasting, how to create a strategy, especially for service-based businesses. If you've got a body of knowledge and you're really selling that, you're selling your IP, your specialty, the things that you've learned over many years, and you need to package those and sell those to your ideal customers. How do we do that with a podcast? And so we know very much about what we've been talking about over the last workshops and the Q&As is that it is really very much around business growth and around podcasting, how to build your reach with your ideal customer. Not everybody is your ideal customer. How to build your reputation as that trusted authority. Things have changed. In fact, things that I was teaching last year have changed dramatically because of what has happened around the globe and the impact that COVID has had on the economy, on people's psyche as well. And we need to keep that in mind as we continue to share our services and of course to market online. And of course, how do we do that strategically, and how do we do that in a real from a value added perspective when we're speaking about customers and how to enroll those? It's all about influence, building impact, and ultimately generating income. So coming up, I want to bring it all together. How are you best going to move forward? How are you going to decide on your best steps? I want to share some information with you today in the hope that this is going to clarify for you the best step forward for you. I want to do that too by introducing my 90-day idea to launch your thought leader podcast immersive program. So we've done the intensive, we've kind of gone zoom, 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 zoom with lots of information, and the immersive actually allows us to dive deep, step by step by step, so that we make it relevant to you and your business. And then of course, I'm going to announce the winner of the 90-day idea to launch your thought leader podcast immersive scholarship. So one of you is going to join me and others who are joining the program this time around. So just to recap what we did, I like this because for some of you who are just joining me, you're thinking, should I go back and watch some of the workshops? Well, if you want to grow your business online, if you want to have a clear-cut message that cuts through the noise and speaks to your ideal customer, and you're thinking about launching a podcast too, I really highly recommend. This is what you'll learn. Podcast myths was in workshop 1, where I spoke about how your microphone, which is a technology, is not really going to make the difference in having a successful podcast, especially if you're looking at also generating income. Another myth was publish your podcast and clients will come, and get listed and you are noteworthy on Apple and your podcast will be a success. And I shared why all of those were really myths. I spoke about the 7 podcasting mistakes. I'm not going to go in them today. Go back and watch workshop 1. No clear strategy, no lucrative niche, unclear thought leader brand and or message, too broad a range of topics and or guests, off brand creatives, uninspiring intros and outros, and ineffective calls to action. How do I know these mistakes? Because I've made all of them and then some, and I don't want you to make the same mistakes. Then I also we're recapping today the 7 podcasting principles that I shared what we should be doing. The right strategy starts with the right end in mind. Create fans, not followers. Build reputation equity, not vanity numbers. Don't focus on vanity numbers, new and noteworthy, how many downloads you get. It means nothing if you're trying to be all things to all people. Remember, as thought leaders, aspiring thought leaders, and trusted authorities who you want to become a trusted authority, the numbers, if we're using the what am I trying to say? I was going to say outdated, but it's not outdated. For some, the principles of mainstream media, where you've got, hundreds and thousands of followers and you're looking at advertising and getting paid for that, it still works that way. But for you, it's different as a service based business. We don't follow that model because you've got a body of expertise to share. We do it really, really differently. Invest in refining your message first, not your microphone first. Learn compelling communication techniques. Because guess what? As a podcast host, you need to be able to not only capture the attention, but maintain the attention from the beginning right through to the end. And there's things that you can be doing intentionally that really helps you to do that. Create a distinguishable and uncopyable experience and expectation. There's things that you could be doing. No one else can copy you. They can try, but they're just not going to be you because guess what? They're not you. And of course, the importance of having robust list building and seed and lead initiatives within your strategy. That was workshop 1. Phew. Workshop 2, I talked about the models that I created after reflecting on all of the things had been doing in podcasting, the things that didn't work, but the things that did work when I accidentally made my 2 4-figure clients from a 3-part episode or from a podcast that I launched and I only had 3 episodes out. And I thought, if I can do that accidentally, what can I do if I repeat the process and do that intentionally? And of course, I came up with the podcast profit models, the podcast profit formula, which is the components that you need to build your authority while go to from invisible to influential and profitable. We talked about the framework, which was the strategy that takes your podcast from idea to launch, and then also every single episode that you publish as well. I talked about my profit pipeline, which is the process that is intentionally integrated in your business that enables you to build awareness and know, like, and trust across the buyer's journey so that you can nurture listeners into leads and customers from your very first episode. When you do these sorts of things, building the solid foundations in your business, and you do it strategically with all of the things in mind that I spoke about, you don't need any hacks. You don't need to try and do anything that tricks the algorithms, that just does all of that. You don't need to, because you will become the person that people will follow, the fans, because what you're sharing is so valuable and so needed that they will go out and seek your material. They will become binge listeners to your podcast. And there's nothing more powerful than having someone who is an out advocate for your business. In workshop 3, we talked about the podcast pipeline, the process, the 3 stages of the buyer's journey. We asked how many of your ideal clients are actually buying now. It was a very, very small part, a component which shared and confirmed why it's so important to get these foundations in your business first. The brand communications wheel we talked about the Thought Leader podcast series and how it all fits in together. Now, was that the repeat slide? Additional insights, 5 pillars of success. I also shared my invisible to industry thought leader, the 5 pillars, which were the community, content, charisma, collateral, and collaborations. Get all of those 5 things in place, which you should be doing anyway as part of your business, not just podcasting. But if you do that, layered across with the solid podcast strategy, you really will start to see that listeners become leads and then inquiries and customers. And then, of course, we talked about your thought leadership journey, the stages and the things that you want to be mindful of when you're creating your thought leader podcast series, your stories, and the examples that you share that's very much related to your ideal customer. Otherwise, your story just becomes an obituary, which really is a snapshot of from beginning to end with no real meaning and purpose to your ideal customer. And if you're not really generating a message that is so compelling to them, it'll be very difficult for you to really start to nurture that community of ideal customers. So, here are some of the things that we identified at the beginning of some of the questions and concerns from people. And all of these are really valid. How do I hone down to one topic, my niche, for the overall discussion? How do I overcome imposter syndrome? Some people record episodes and they sit on their hard drive, not going anywhere, because as soon as you hit play or publish, guess what? People are going to find it, aren't they? And they're going to listen to it. And what if they criticize you? No one likes that, do they? But anyway, that was a before. How to plan, achieve reach, connect with the right audience. Is it worth the time and commitment? And guess what? There is time and commitment. But if you do it right, if you do it correctly, the right steps, for you and your business and where you're at, and the outcome that you want, you're going to have a solid, robust strategy. How do I refine my IP? All very important when you're thinking of positioning yourself as a trusted authority in your service based industry. And this is some of the ahas, just a snapshot. Um, Watch your message doesn't get lost in the noise of your own podcast. Mine did, which is why I shut it down. My award winning podcast, shut it down because my message got lost. Redefining my message even more. I've got too many niches. What an incredible aha. Because remember, your niching, that's right at the beginning. Unless you know who you're speaking to and all of the different nuances that are relating to identifying your core niche, everything else that you put on top of that is not going to have the impact you want. So incredible aha. Do not batch record your podcast episodes. You know, so many people interview and have, I did this too. I had people that were lined up for months and months and months down the track. But here's the thing, when you're using your podcast strategically as part of your marketing, you don't know what your marketing calendar is going to do months in advance. Sure, you should have some idea, but to be able to keep up to date with the nuances of your community, look what happened at the beginning of this year. Everyone scrambled, didn't they? Because your ideal clients was going through certain aspects within their business and their life that if you had a continued marketing the same old message, it would not have landed very well. So there's a fine balance and a fine strategy between having so many podcast episodes in your buffer, and is it really going to benefit your marketing, or are you just going through that model of get as much content out there, content out there as quickly as possible, as much as possible across as many platforms as possible? As an aspiring thought leader and change maker, and a trusted authority, we don't do that, do we? We just don't randomly. We're talking about quality content. Okay, your process of seeding and leading through the buyer's journey. The buyer's journey and how to navigate the twists and turns, get clear on the experience you want for your audience, and serious fans and action takers are inclined to binge listen. Yep, absolutely. Great ahas there. So, as a savvy business owner who wants to build your reach, your reputation, and revenue, I would hope now that you realize your message and especially your monetization strategy starts with the end in mind. That's key, especially when you're thinking of a podcast, because everything that you do, from your topic to your collaboration strategy, which is the guests that you invite on your show, right through to the topics that you identify and you share, needs to meet your ideal customer somewhere along the buyer's journey, their buyer's journey, not yours, not your seller's journey that you want them to go through, but the buyer's journey. It has to be done from their perspective. And if that's the only aha that you walk away with today, then that's a good aha to have. And that's really where we base the entire podcast strategy, and of course, my teachings and what I bring to you. So imagine with those learnings, what else is possible for you and what's possible you with the right support. And that's where I'd love to introduce the 90-day idea to launch your podcast, if that is something that you're interested in. So let me share information with you, a little bit about it, what to expect, what's involved, so that you can make the right decision for you. So there's two choices. There's a done with you, and then there's a do it yourself together. I never leave anyone kind of hanging in the lurch, giving you lots of content and going, my job's done. Good luck. All the very best. See you on and at the launch party. Absolutely not. We do this together. So just sharing, because I know some of you don't really like a group atmosphere. That's okay. We've got options to be able to work together with me. Just briefly sharing with you, for those of you who like the VIP experience. Mind you, in my group coaching program, we always have a VIP experience, but together. So this is where we'll work together one-on-one, getting totally clear on your end in mind. I often find that once we get really clear on that, then the podcast strategy fits beautifully on top of that. Remember, they should be integrated to get the best results. We'll look at your pipeline, which is your message and your monetization, and how you're going to, kind of nurture your ideal customer through that buyer's journey. We'll actually help you map out what is your buyer's journey for your ideal customer, help you map out and record your podcast series. Remember, that's the tactic. We'll actually really get clear on what each episode is, how it all fits together in a series, but individually, really bringing value to your customer and nurturing them through that buyer's journey. There's different components within the podcast episode that is very strategic and needs to nurture them through that. So we'll help you. I'll help you do that. There's going to be coaching and mentoring, help you prepare and actually oversee. There's big consulting aspect to that as well, your launch strategy. And we even, my team and I will help set up the back end, your tech, and all of the things that go with that. So if that's something that sounds like you, reach out to me. We'll have a conversation to see if you're ready and if it's a good fit. And I'll honestly share with you if I do not think that you're ready yet. Because as I mentioned to you, if you've been with me through all of the workshops, there is an option. I often will say to people, if you're not ready yet, just let's work together on your core business foundations first, where we talk about your niche. We talk about your signature brand, that thought leader brand, getting clear on that. We'll talk about your IP. How can we really bring that out around your story and the steps that you take, stuff that no one else teaches because no one else has walked your journey, your signature programs, and then we create for you or with you your digital asset. We do that in a group scenario. We've got some awesome people just finishing that who've had so many ahas. It's been amazing. And so once you've done that, then we can work together on your podcast strategy. So let's have a conversation first, if you'd like to kind of see whether the done with you privately is the right option. But here's the do it yourself together. So you're learning as we're working together as a group. And this is what I've been sharing over the last number of days, which is my 90-day idea to launch your podcast, Immersive. We are immersing ourselves into the program together. And so it is all about reputation. It's all about reach. It's all about revenue. I'll also look at your business model to see what that looks like. And we, in the Q&As, you've got an opportunity for me and others to be able to give you some feedback on that, so that you know that the business, your business and perhaps also your program pathway is laid out strategically and in a way that really will nurture those people. Because some people, if you think of your legacy clients, they're not yet ready to become your legacy clients, but you do want to work with them right at the beginning. So you're nurturing some of your, ideal legacy clients right from the beginning, so that they really do learn all of the principles, all of your teachings, all of your expertise right the way through. And when you do that well, a podcast strategy around that can be incredibly powerful, not just for your business, but ultimately for your ideal customer, because you're consistently speaking into their lives. We are launching it, me by your side. I said to people, once you're in my community, you're in my community. I'm out there watching over you, being there when you need support. Even once we've finished, we will certainly not leave you hanging. So it's all about strategy and coaching, helping you clarify and focus on the components, the strategy, the process. And these things are often the missing things when it comes to, remember, I'm talking to service based businesses, coaches, and consultants. There is, real process in how we position our content, our information, our expertise in a way. And so many businesses, unfortunately, this is what I did with my co-host, and I shared earlier in one of the workshops, we struggled to monetize our podcast. But we're going to talk about the reach, reputation, revenue, money, message, monetization, and create that unique, distinguishable, and uncopyable experience and expectation of you. So that's very much involved. We also have training and templates, and they will save you time and money. Don't recreate something that I've already spent years creating that you can, sure, put your brand on and tweak it to suit your brand. That's one of the things that we'll do in one of the modules that I'll share with you. You'll understand what your brand experience is, and then you can layer that on top. But there's step-by-step training and templates that are there available for you, and of course accountability and support, where we meet every single week. Yep, every single week. And in fact, Sherry, who's in the process of, she did a little bit of a, since COVID happened, her market just opened up, and she's taking out some time to really now refocus what she's doing, because her expertise is so needed now. But one of the things that she said, I want to thank you for just how much time you're giving to us. Nobody else does this. When I looked at our schedule, I went, wow, because as I said, we are spending a lot of time together. The accountability and support, I think, is really important, because I don't want you to implement something that, had we looked at and tweaked slightly, you would get a better result at the end. Because no one wants to redo something, do they? If someone could have had an eye cast over and could have said, hey, how about doing it this way first? So this is kind of a snapshot of the program. It's online, but we also meet via Zoom every week too. So here are the modules. Let me explain and get you all excited about what we're going to cover together. So I have some pre-work bonus models, again, modules, starting with the end in mind. It's so important. And I call these my foundation classes. And this is where in class one, we actually map out, we start to think of your strategy. Why a podcast? So we're thinking about, obviously monetization. We're thinking of your collaboration. Some people will identify through this process that they haven't been targeting the right collaboration partners. Who are they? How do you approach them? All of that we cover. Talking about the 3 podcast profit models, how it fits and sits with you. I also give you an overview of my podcast production workflow checklist, step by step by step. So you kind of get an, for those of you who love a big picture view first, and then we chunk down into let's get into the core components of that. We're talking about the case study. I see that I've doubled up there. Case study, Ildi Raz's Thought Leader podcast series. I've got a number of different examples in that, actually, because when you're creating yours, which is really important, that's the first 3 episodes that your ideal customer will hear and listen to, and really get to experience you and your expertise through the lens of their challenges, through the lens of the outcomes that they want. And, I thought if we give you some examples of how we've done that with other clients, it will help you kind of formulate your own. And of course, my ebook, Industry Thought Leader, How to Go from Invisible to Influential and Profitable with a Podcast. So this is the foundation. And that's already right now. It's sitting there ready right now for you to dive into. Then there's another pre-work class where I talk about the signature brand archetypes. And this is a system that I use even with clients who are building their brands, building their reputation, above and beyond even a podcast. But we can bring that now into the podcast, because as a host, you bring a different experience than someone else. Even someone else who may be talking about your very same topic. And so this is where you really are able to capture the heart and soul, the personality and passion of what you do, so that your ideal listener, which is your ideal client, will want to subscribe and listen to your podcast again and again and again. In actual fact, a number of my clients have said that the investment in the course alone is validated just in the value and ahas that they get from the branding with archetype process. It is that good. It really is. Now, here are the 8 core modules. So those were the overview, the foundations, but giving you an overview of what you need to have in place. Here are the core foundations. There's 8. Once we identify what your signature brand is, we then layer that over your podcast creatives, and we help you create your brand blueprint. So we are really going to help you identify how you bring that to life in your music, in the graphics, in your font. For those of you who work with graphic designers, they will love you, because you will give them a step-by-step outline of everything that they need to know to be able to create the experience of you. Remember, I shared how important that was. So here you'll be able to capture the essence of you, what you stand for, so that your podcast can stand out from the crowd right from the beginning, from your podcast graphic right through to the music, the introduction professional, if you're going to be the voiceover, or if you're going to hire someone to do that. And there's also a lesson in there about naming your podcast, the do's and the don'ts. This makes a huge difference too. Your podcast name, if you get that really nailed down and it's nailed down to your niche. I had one client whose podcast title we were able to develop that aligned with their SEO, his SEO team's strategy. And so every time he said the podcast, every time they listed it in a blog post, boosted their SEO as well. And so, a lot of times people don't think of that either. Then we talk about how to come up with the brand music, how to select your voiceover professional, so that you can then go out and source, or you can go out and create your own. Either way, this is what we support you with. We talk about in module 2, so those were the first 2 modules. Then we talk about module 3, your ideal listener and future client, and your guest strategy. Really important as well. So capture, maintain a growing audience of your ideal listeners by defining who a she is, so that you can continue to share and showcase relevant topics and information and strategies that she or he will love and want to learn more about. So that's so important. But here's something else that I really love to teach, and this is the compelling communication techniques that I shared in the principles, how to connect and engage. Every single one of your ideal customers may have a different preference or a style in how they consume content and how they like to listen and engage with content. And so you might find when you're looking, because there's a whole module that I share on this, you may find that you do your best work with a certain number of people who have a certain style, and then you can be more intentional in that, rather than again being all things to all people in the way that you communicate and engage in your podcast. And then remember, if you're trying to be all things to all people, you're nothing to no one. So keep yourself top of mind in order how to create know, like, and trust a lot faster, because he or she will really feel that you know her and the challenges that they are struggling with. Really important. In module 3, also save you additional hours of time. You can rebrand all of the documents that I've created that I've used with my guest profile, suggested questions, sound tips to really help the guest prepare. The best way to help a guest prepare is right from the moment that you reach out to them and give them an opportunity to come through to your podcast, right through till even after the podcast has been published, their episode. You support them in learning that along the way. Establish the ground rules, manage expectations before you do the interview. That's going to really save you a lot of hours. Rebrand and use all of that, and even kind of the show notes that I use as well. Remember, all of this is specifically developed and tailored for a service-based business. We're not a radio show, we're not online, we're doing everything strategically to build your business and nurture relationships. Whole different process. Structuring and formatting of your podcast. This is module 4. Select I've got what I call plug and go templates of the best structures. Remember, it's all about storytelling. It's all about or the buyer's journey. It's all about seeding and leading, all of those kind of components in what's the best format for my podcast. Now, each of these includes critical sections that enables you to showcase your expertise without coming across as a so-and-so, helping you to engage and deepen the relationship with your audience, while continue to build and fill your funnel with ideal customers, which of course we know is that pipeline. The structure and formatting of my podcast, I call this my powerful 4-step connection process. So present your information in a way that you can instantly gain and maintain your audience's attention. This is relevant if you're a speaker on stage, or if you are delivering a workshop, or if you're doing a live, or in this instance, you're doing a podcast. Even the most skeptical people, who may be your ideal customers, but you know that through their skepticism, there's certain things that you have to identify and validate before you've got their attention and going, okay, I'm going to listen to this. So you'll learn how to incorporate those seed and lead strategies so that you can continue to build the desire of your audience who want to work with you. So I teach you all of that. Module 5, streamline systems to find, to schedule, to prepare guests, the right guests, the guests who could turn into incredible collaboration partners, joint venture partners, customers, referral partners, and all of that. And so you get access to all that so that you don't have to repeat all of that. And I'll even show you a process that I have tweaked over the years. When I first started podcasting, my co-host did a lot of our post or pre-production, getting everything set up. Would take him well over 8 hours because there was a process in that. But I've been able to boil that down to a very strategic process that doesn't take up much time at all, and it's something that you can teach and share with your VA, or if you've got someone that will be a part of your team to support you. And then module 6, setting the stage, powerful interviewing techniques. How to instantly engage, maintain your audience's attention, no matter what their communication preferences, and how to calm your nerves and build your confidence to be able to deliver a stellar interview. I've even had feedback from podcast hosts that have had multiple podcasts that they've got on their hard drive, but they can't publish because either they feel a little bit, oh, I didn't do a very good interview, or their guests either waffled on so much or was so salesy and didn't really provide much value that said, you know what, I am not going to publish that. And even sometimes nerves can really cause someone who's an expert in their field, a real thought leader, to become nervous to the point you've got to edit like crazy out of all the ums and ahs and all of those fillers. But if you're able to manage the call well and the interview well, you'll be able to help that ideal, that guest break through that and really just have a conversation with you, because really that's all it is. Module 7, notice how we've done a lot of foundation work and I haven't even talked about technology yet, because message and all of that strategy first before you worry about the make and model of the microphone. But I'll share that with you as well. Essential equipment and software, technologies, step-by-step videos to show you exactly what you need to get started. It's not like the long, long, long things, which is irrelevant, but really just what you need to know to get out a really good sounding podcast so that you can then go and publish it to the world. Remember 90-10 technology and all of that. Editing and mixing, ID3 tagging, how to mix some background music, how to record a guest, whether you're on a Mac or a PC, selecting the right audio host, and lots more. And then module 8, once you've got your podcast, how are you going to maximize exposure? So momentum building marketing is module 8, solid visibility strategies to continuously be recognized as an influential voice in your industry, while also really cut through the noise to your ideal customer so that you can grow a loyal, not a local, well, it could be local. You might be, focusing on local area of raving fans, potential customers, and business opportunities. And I'll help you create this doable action plan to show you how to integrate and leverage your podcast into your business model. So really important. Now, those are the modules. So you also get Q&A and spotlight coaching calls. There's 10 of them. Get access to me every week. There's 3 bonus Q&A calls. Plotting your pipeline of profit, we'll do that together. Branding you and your podcast, we'll do that together. And your Thought Leader podcast series, there's a Q&A for that as well. We also, at the end of each month, because I'm all about taking action, the right action, so we will get together at the end of each month to get into rapid action together. And these are awesome because we just get onto Zoom. We meet at the top of the hour. We say, what are we doing? And then we kind of go our merry way, and then we check in again. Hey, Paul, not a problem at all. All the best. We'll catch you later. And then, of course, we've also got a private client Facebook group. This is where you can get feedback, remain connected to me and our other community of change makers who are also going through that program. But and there's more bonus modules for those of you who love even more support. What I often do is I'll look at kind of where pri- uh, previous clients have gone through and where best they need support. And then I'll integrate that into the program because I want everyone in my programs to feel that they've gotten way more than they ever expected, to really support them in going from invisible to influential. Because as I might have mentioned to you in my workshops and in my content, my mission in this world is to make a difference, one message, one podcast at a time. And even the number that I put was 1 billion people. I don't know why I said 1 billion, just 1 billion. Someone said to me, how are you going to do that? How are you going to monitor that? I said, I don't know, but I do know that it's not just me that has to impact. Every single change maker, every single thought leader that I support, they are part of that vision and that mission because their podcast, their message is going to impact others. And the listeners who listen to that are going to then, play that forward and share that message. And together we can make a difference in the world. And so that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. And so bonus one is my interviewing with purpose training. There are different modules in there by identifying, who are you as that host and your unique interviewing style so that people can remember I said to you, people come for the topic, they return for the host. Well, they only return to the host if you've got that distinguishable, uncopyable experience that you create, but you do that consistently across every single episode. I'll teach you how to do that through that module, Your Winning Mindset, preparing your guest tools, templates, and emails, setting the stage for an awesome interview, how to create awesome SEO rich show titles, compelling introductions and outros, powerful interviewing techniques. Which again, I share all lots of different things about how to deal with difficult um, guests, from the guest who hardly says anything to the guest who won't shut up, to the guest who is almost like a salesperson that's selling everything and the steak knives, how to deal with those ideal, well, not ideal guests, but those guests that you think, oh my goodness, how am I going to get through this show? And then, of course, how to optimize your voice. This is where I reached out to a thought leader in voice, and she shares how to do that and find actually your optimal pitch. Who knew that we had an optimal pitch? So, another bonus is behind the scenes. Again, there are three different clients that I worked with to create their episodes. So, you get a behind the scenes, step by step. You get the actual right from idea to launch, from gathering information, kind of this, the process that I took them through, the show notes, and then you get to listen to the final product. And so, I think that that is really going to give you a solid understanding of how to create yours. And you might say to me, Anne Marie, I want to, but the timing is just not right. I can't afford it. Well, if that sounds like you, then I've also thrown in my bonus three, the breakthrough your money dramas, your pathway to more confidence, cash and clients, or clients and cash. Now, this is something that I would also teach and share and mentor and coach my clients in, your business owners who really needed to look at their money mindset. And so I throw that in here for you as well. So clearing your money clutter, scarcity and abundance. What are you focused on? Your self-worth account, are you depositing or withdrawing? And so many of us withdraw our personal self-worth accounts. Common money stories and beliefs which may keep you stuck, how to build your self-value and your self-worth so that you can charge what you are worth, how to boost your self-confidence and your net worth, and how to claim back your power with money. I think this is probably going to be a very important training for all of us because our mindsets have really been challenged with everything that's going on. And if we're tapping in to the unfortunate doom and gloom of what the news and mainstream media typically portray, we need to do a check. We need a mindset check because there is still lots of opportunity. We may have to change the strategy and the steps and, our buyer's journey and our program pathway. We may just need to tweak those slightly, just those, whilst we're going through this season. But it's possible. It is possible. Nothing is impossible. So let's just do a bit of a check in here. Now, the first 48 hours only, what I'm also going to do with those people who say yes and who are action takers, we're working with you to also develop your launch plan. So this is step by step what you have to do before you launch, during your launch, and after you launch. Lots of different things, learn and implement the strategies that creates interest before you launch your podcast. You can start to create a list and build an audience before you even launch your podcast. Fill out the strategy that I use to begin building my list before I launch so that you can implement it too. Create social media graphics and content that has your ideal client and community excited to support you using our graphic templates, and learn the things that you need to have in place in order to maximize your launch, your engagement, and ultimately your reach, reputation, and revenue, and more. So we'll do that together. If you're one of the people that go, yep, in the first 48 hours. So, the value in terms of influence, impact, and income from previous and current clients. Just wanted to share some words that others have said. These are just, I think I've just selected three, and three of my, I love these podcasters, these business owners that I've worked with. Carolyn Moe, she is a superstar, and she's a co-host of Succeed with Money podcast. And she said, Anne-Marie is so knowledgeable in giving and what she shares. I found our time together was so valuable in understanding, firstly, the reason why we should start a podcast. I really drummed that into her. Why are you doing it? Don't just do it because it's a briny shaped object. What steps we had to take to start, and how we could make it a profitable venture rather than just a podcast for the sake of a podcast. And one of her ahas was understanding the necessity of putting a strategy in place, and why this makes a world of difference to the success of a podcast. Being intentional about our message and having a clear call to action in every single podcast without it sounding like, hey, buy my stuff. You don't want to be one of those people. You don't want to sound like a commercial. And have a podcast series separate to our podcast episodes that showcases our expertise in our field and compels people to want to listen and learn from what they have to share. So, Carolyn spent time, and they even delayed their podcast launch because they realized there was some things that they put together, had needed to put together first. And that waiting time where they were able to build that foundation certainly paid off. So that was Carolyn. And Amanda, I love Amanda and what she's doing because she edits and she produces all of her podcasts, and she's blind. She cannot see. And, her, I love one of her hashtag statements is, where there is a will, there is a way. And she lives that out each and every day. And she said, I found the program, information in the program invaluable. Anne-Marie has a way of stimulating my thought process and opening up my mind to all sorts of possibilities that I'd never considered. She also put my fears to rest and helped me to realize that I had something unique and valuable to contribute. Don't we all just discredit who we are and the value in our own story and what we bring to the world? And, Amanda is just an incredible human being. I learned that planning is key. I can't just press record and start a verbal stream of consciousness. For my podcast to be good and for it to last, I need to plan and prepare ahead. Also, content creation isn't as hard as I first thought. I've got major topics I can talk about that's relevant in her thought leader, topics and content and themes. They all have little side branches that she can explore. The thing that excites me the most is that I now know how to produce good quality, structured content, which will hopefully help my potential clients, and they will. And something that she mentioned to me, because I did a bit of a Q&A session with her, and I think the recording is somewhere in the community, podcastingwithpurpose.com/community. And she said that when she implemented the strategies around SEO titles and just implemented what we did, because she had launched previously her podcast and it had sat there for a while. She did a number of episodes and it sat there. So this was a relaunch. And she said that her listenership had increased tenfold just by implementing the strategies. Now, of course, with a tenfold, I must check back with her, but the tenfold increase is great because it shows that you're really tapping into your ideal customer. And then obviously nurturing them into the podcast series for her. And Sherry, I've already mentioned to her, she has said, and she's still in the process, so hopefully she'll launch soon. I've worked with several coaches over the past few years, and Anne-Marie's the only one who's provided the specific coaching expertise that has enabled me to zero in on my ideal client and develop a signature program to leverage my podcast to best serve my clients and a broader audience. Anne-Marie's wit is only surpassed by her love of God and gifting in the prophetic. As I said, there's sometimes that things ideas just come to me, and for those of us who are Christians, we know where that comes from. And I'm sharing Cherie's one testimonial, even though she hasn't launched yet. And there's a reason why, is because I also think of my value where I can share with you, for those of you who are coming in. This is not just a podcasting course. This is building foundations for your business so that when you launch your podcast, it's going to generate the outcomes that you want, which is why we spend time working on niche programming, IP programs, IP, all of that. Please do not launch a podcast if you don't have clarity on that first. Come and join me in my Core Business Foundation program, and we'll get you set up for that. All right, drum roll. So, who is the scholarship winner for the Idea to Launch? So, everything that I just shared, someone is going to get access to all of those trainings, all of the calls, and put out the fire podcast launch calls and all of that. That's right, April. You can go back and watch the replay for what you have missed. There's plenty of time for that. All right, are you ready? Dun, 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 dun. Kayleen. Kayleen, I'm not sure if you are still here, but you have won. And there is actually a snapshot of one of the pictures that Kayleen has shared across social. She's also been in there with ahas. In fact, I think there were some instances where you gave even more ahas. And I had a bit of an aha myself, Kayleen, when I went out and I did a bit of a Google search about you, and I realized that where we had met, and I have a feeling that we may have had a conversation earlier this year where you were thinking of toying with the idea of starting a podcast. Well, guess what? We get to work together to launch yours. Now, if you weren't a winner, then don't worry. There she goes, screaming in the background. Yes. Well, it is you, Kayleen. It is you. There you go. And I can't wait. And it's wonderful. So if your name was not Kayleen West, then don't worry. For the first three people, still that bonus of a quick start call. That if you are in and then we get together and go through that whole pipeline and mapping that out. Something else that I also wanted to throw in as well as an additional bonus for the first three people, what I call my podcast creative pack, access to our extensive database of royalty-free music, themes, and select music for your intro and outro, working closely with me to script your compelling intro and outro. There can be different things that you can do to really hone that in. That's aligned again with your message and your monetization strategy, that you can capture that in your intro and outro. My team and I will even edit and mix your intro and outro. You supply the audio for your intro and outro, but of course, we've given you access to our large database. You may have your own music, which you can use. That's fine. And guess what? If you want me to do your voiceover for you, I'll do your voiceover for you as well. We'll also help create your podcast graphic, your cover art. But of course, you need to supply your image, but we'll kind of zhuzh it up and get that ready for you. So that's for the first three people. We'll also give you access to what I call your technical pack. And this is where we'll help you get PowerPress and the Blueberry plugin installed and set up on your website. We'll integrate that all on the back end and publish your episode 1 onto your website, assuming that it's with WordPress, so that then you can go ahead and we'll even submit it to Apple and get it on Spotify, Google, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, Deezer, Pandora, and all of those places. So we'll do that for you too. For the first three people that say yes. Oh, yes. And something else that I'm doing, because remember I said to you, I don't want to leave all of my clients in once they launch their podcast and then go, well, good luck with that. Keep it going. I'm actually creating called the Influence Alliance. Haven't launched yet. I'm holding back. But my goal is to launch that next year. So what is next year? 2021. And so this is where we will have worked together on your Thought Leader podcast. So we've launched your podcast, and now what we're going to be doing is ongoing training to really build that up. How can you integrate that? Maybe the squeeze or something's not working, like you're getting lots of listens, but no one's really going in and signing up for your irresistible signature giveaway. So we'll be able to kind of track that out. So you really build this robust platform, because over the years I've tweaked and I've done things, and I'm always looking for new ways. One of the trainings that's going to be in that is how to leverage and use StreamYard to just publish and at scale. So there's going to be heaps of training, a lot of fun. The reason I'm calling this the Influence Alliance is because people who are part of that community are change makers. They are thought leaders, they are innovators, they are disruptors in a good way. So that it's important that you collaborate together. I think the collaboration, and one of my clients who's currently going, and she'll be launched, she's actually going through, she's already a yes in this next round of the program, is talking about collaborations. The people who are coming into the programs are real change makers in their message. So we need to create this community of people who will support one another, who will interview each other on each other's podcasts and all that. That's kind of my vision for that as well, supporting one another from around the globe. And all of our podcast hosts that launch, we participate in an online virtual party together, which will be streamed live across all of my platforms. And then, of course, if you guys all who are coming through and launching together and share that, that just allows us to launch your podcast at scale and bring that out to the world. So that is the program. What is the investment? So you get all of that. So for those of you, there's a payment plan, but we have done something a little bit different this time round. Is that we've looked at where a lot of our customers are, our ideal customers, and instead of just charging one currency, which we tended to do, we've actually now set it around different currencies for a full pay option. We still got the part pay in US because we tended to have a lot more clients in the US. So that's still a part pay, but it's 1997 in your particular currency. Or if you prefer to do a part pay, it's 394 and then 5 pays after that. But you get access to, and if you're one of the first three, you get access to all of the bonuses, the foundation modules, you get the core modules, the bonuses, and access to me. And if you're one of the first three, then we will be working together for the next 6 months together to get your podcast launched and then really build that out in a robust way. Now, we've got a bit of time. We've got a bit of time to answer any questions about the program itself. For some of you, you may want to speak with me privately. Actually, let me give you the link, podcastingwithpurpose.com/immersive. Podcastingwithpurpose.com/immersive. The page is live. Let me add that up there for you. So let me see if you've got any questions. Leave them below, or if you would rather speak to me privately because you've got a question that you don't kind of want to share out on the platforms. Totally understand that. Here is my calendar, annemariecross.com /let's chat. Even though we have got the 48-hour bonus and the first three people bonuses, the cart will close next Monday. And I know for some of you, your purchase, you've got lots of questions to ask. You really want to, and I respect that. So let's have a chat together and see if that's a good fit. I want to make sure that it is a good fit for you. What did Crystal say here? Zoom them up. Love it. Okay. What else? Any other questions? Let me just share what Kaylin says here. Screaming in the background. Yeah, you've been good. You've been here all along the way, which is fantastic. It's been really fantastic. What I love about the opportunity to work with you, Kaylin, and those of you who've said yes, everything that we have shared, becomes relevant. Because as I said, that's why I called the program the Immersive, because we get to work together hand in hand, step by step, every single week. How it works, let me just share a little bit more about how that works if you've got some questions about that. All of the modules have already been pre recorded. So the lessons themselves are already on our online hub. There's already the foundations training where you can go through all of the foundation stuff, but then every week we catch up on a Q&A call where you've got an opportunity to speak with me, and we use Zoom to be able to do that. So that's really important for you to recognize or to know that there's training that's there, the Q and A's at each week as well. If you're not able to join me live, we record everything. And in actual fact, we stream. I use Zoom and I stream into the community so that you can go and watch at a later date. It's been interesting because we do that too with our core business foundations program, and we've got someone who is going through that, and she hasn't been able to make, because she's also working, she's got a portfolio career, she hasn't been able to make the actual Q&A sessions, but she's been able to watch the recordings, and she's been really able to keep up. And then just last week she was able to join us, which is fabulous. So if you are concerned that because you can't join us live on the Q&As that it may hinder the teaching and implementation, absolutely not. You can email your questions in and then I can answer them. Or you can leave your questions in the community and then I will answer them. So you'll be able to watch the recording and get that back. So that's good. So podcastingwithpurpose.com/immersive. If you want to have a chat, and maybe you want to have a chat about how this might look if we work privately together. The length of the program, 90 days. And there's a reason why it is 90 days, because we're building the foundations, we're building your business model, we're building the strategy across top of that, which of course, as we know, is the 3-part Thought Leader podcast series. Then we're working on the pre-launch, the launch, the post-launch strategy, and then we kind of really build that out. That's why we take 90 days. We could rush it. I could do this in 30 days with you, but you know what? We want you to not just launch a podcast, but launch a podcast that's going to help you build your business online, get your message, build your reach, build your reputation as that trusted authority, and ultimately build your revenue. And as we know, business building takes time. This is not a hack this, hack that program. There will be certain strategies that I'll teach you that will be able to cut through things, but we're not hacking our way to anything. We're doing solid business building strategies. Okay, Mama has spoken. Sorry. No, it's true. You really do need to have these strategies in place so that you don't end up like some of the people who I've spoken to who have just don't know what they're doing wrong, who've published 20, 30, 60, 100 podcast episodes and said, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I'm doing all of the things, but I'm not generating any real traction with my podcast. And we can see that the strategy hasn't been right. The message hasn't been right. There's no seed and lead. There's no consideration of the buyer's journey. There's no consideration of kind of the process to nurture them through that. And that is what this is all about. All right, got a couple of minutes left. I cannot wait to support you. I know that there's some of you who, and Kayleen has said here too, perfect timing. So for those of you, perfect timing for those of you as well. Yeah, actioning it too. It's important, kind of a step by step by step. And it can even be why I like the way that I have and this is as a business owner, let me share some lessons to you in this too, because this is important for you to recognize as a business owner. When you're working with clients, you've also got to be mindful about the delivery of your programs. And I have seen that even though I may think that I've provided everything in the training and as step by step as I can be, there are certain things that people will pick up through the Q&A. I might just be asking something, and it can be from wording. Someone will come up with a podcast title for the name for their podcast, and we tweak that slightly, and all of a sudden it can take their brand, their message, and the positioning that they're going to be building to a completely different level. Because sometimes as business owners, when we try and do things on our own, we don't see the golden nuggets, which is right in front of us, or we do it in the wrong order. So that's something else that I have learned too. You can have the best strategies and the best steps in place, but we're not implementing them in the best sequence for our business. And so that's really important for me as well. Kayleen is all excited there with lots of good things. Fantastic. Well, that is the top of the hour. There's the link one more time, podcastingwithpurpose.com/immersive. That takes you to our sales page where you can find out a little bit more information and go through all of the things that I've shared today. And also, if you would like to have a conversation with me, I'm happy to do that. My calendar is open for you this week, annemariecross.com/let's chat. But if this is one of the things that I will say to you as I finish up, that if you are here because someone either has said, hey, you need to go and watch this woman, she's, carrying on like a carry on about podcasting. I think she's quite passionate about that particular topic, and I am. If someone has suggested you listen and watch this, or if you have suddenly, seen this person flash across your feed and you think, who is this? I'm going to take a bit of a listen, or whatever reason. I do not believe in coincidence. I do not believe in happenstance. There is a reason why you are here. And if you've been toying, if you've been thinking, if you know that because of what's happened in the world, you need to have more of an online presence, and that online presence is going to include a podcast, then this is the program for you. This really is the program for you. I will support you the best way that I can, and let's chat. Or for those of you who know that this is a yes, there's a link, podcastingwithpurpose.com/immersive. All right, that is bye for me. Have a wonderful week, everyone. Kayleen, we will be in touch. And for those of you who are going to be booking in, we'll have a chat. Look forward to speaking with you then. Bye for now.